So the Biden administration is pushing for CBDC or central bank digital currency, and in their words, it's the single best step that they can take because it will crowd out the ecosystem for crypto that allows national security adversaries like Russia to exploit their deficiencies and weakness in terms of their critical infrastructure. So in today's video, let's talk about CBDCs, the problems, the benefit of CBDCs, and how they will affect our daily lives. So the last time I personally used cash for something was probably a couple days ago, and these days I don't even visit the ATM to withdraw money because it just becomes so cumbersome, and many places that we have right now accepts digital payments like PayLah or PayNow. And coupled with COVID, which we went through from 2019 to 2021, it sped up the process of digitizing our money as well.
Yeah, give us internet money!
So what are CBDCs? So CBDCs are a digital form of legal tender or government-issued currency. And this currency isn't pegged to a physical commodity, and they are issued by central banks of various nations. So in the US, it will be the US Federal Reserve, in China, it will be the People's Bank of China, and in Singapore, it will be something like MAS or the Monetary Authority of Singapore. And their role is to ensure that they support the financial services for the nation as well as commercial banking. So since CBDCs are issued by central banks, are CBDC considered stablecoins? Because they are essentially representing the nation's currency. So CBDCs are not stablecoins and shouldn't be confused with stablecoins, because stablecoins are a form of cryptocurrency that is stable in value because they are pegged to another currency or commodity. So for example, like USDT is pegged to the US dollar, or DAI is pegged to gold. So with the purpose of maintaining a stable value over time, and that is what stablecoins do. So the other difference is that CBDCs are state issued and operated by the nation or by the state, whereas cryptocurrencies like USDT and USDC are decentralized without a governing body to control the users. So now one question you have is, what's the purpose of CBDCs then? So back in September 2022, the White House released a framework outlining the regulation of digital assets and exploring the digital dollar. But before the US moves ahead to create its digital dollar, the Federal Reserve has listed guidelines on how this digital dollar might exist or how it would look like. And there are 4 main points that the Feds have brought up to how this digital dollar might be. So the first thing is privacy protection. The digital dollar must safeguard consumers' privacy rights, but at the same time impede criminal activity. And second, it has to be intermediated. So the Federal Reserve will also permit the management and payments of CBDCs via digital wallets and accounts provided by private and commercial banks or non-banks. So third, the CBDC has to be transferable, which means that it is accessible to US customers regardless of intermediaries that the customers use. And lastly, it has to be identity verified. So this means that those who use CBDCs will need to be identified to prevent money laundering or financing of terrorism.
Identify yourself!
So with these 4 main points, it kind of reminds me of how we use our PayLah wallet, for example. So on a daily basis, because we use our PayLah, it's like an e-wallet or a digital wallet, and we are all identity verified when we use this service or even when we open a bank account. And transferring money between PayLah from different banks to different banks takes no time at all. Just to put things simple, I'm going to use PayLah as an example because of how the ecosystem is very similar to CBDCs, but PayLah is not a CBDC wallet or a CBDC intermediary. So if you're like me and you are using PayLah for a while, you realize that PayLah has a lot of benefits in using them. So one of which is the uncanny similarity of some of the advantages that CBDCs offer. So CBDCs should and improve cross-border payments, right? Like how DBS PayLah or OCBC Pay Anyone, when we travel to Thailand, we can simply scan a QR code and make payment without even the need to exchange Thai baht, which means that we have no more leftover Thai baht that we cannot use until we visit Bangkok again.
You're in Bangkok?
So the next biggest benefit that I see that makes a lot of sense is financial inclusion. So although in Singapore we do not have a lot of unbanked, but the banks do have a stupid rule where you need to have a minimum balance. Until date, I don't understand why this is still a thing. Because of the minimum fee balance kind of thing, there's a $2 fee if you drop below the minimum balance. And this $2 a month can be a huge sum for those who are already struggling to make ends meet. So with CBDC, this allows users to open digital wallets that might or might not need a bank account tagged to it. So like DBS PayLah, you do not need to have a DBS account to use the PayLah wallet. And by the way, this episode is not sponsored by DBS PayLah, but if you appreciate the content, dropping a like will be tremendous. So the next benefit here is how easy it is for users to do transfers between each other. So gone were the days where your friends will say things like, hey, let me add you as a payee, but I can only transfer the money 24 hours later because of security issues. So these days, all you need is a phone number and you can literally send money over in an instant. So this might be the future of money, but there are some downsides to what CBDC has. So one of the biggest disadvantages with CBDCs is cybersecurity. And it's estimated that every single year, almost $1 trillion is lost to cybercrime.
No less than $1 trillion.
And to put this into numbers, $1 trillion is the market capitalization of Amazon, which means every year we lose a company as big as Amazon due to cyber attacks. So cyber attacks can exist in many different forms like phishing sites, fake calls, where the scammers ask you for your OTP to access your funds, and much more. And the most recent one that happened in Singapore was on 23rd December 2021, where OCBC customers were targeted in a phishing scam and lost $13.7 million as a result. The second biggest disadvantage is the privacy and data protection. So if CBDCs do become a thing in the future, the government can literally control over how you spend your money, who you transfer your money to, and even control the access that you have to your money.
You don't understand! The government controls everything!
For example, in 2022, the Singapore government gave CDC assistance voucher, which can be used to purchase food at selected hawker centers or used to purchase groceries at selected shops or supermarkets. But this year in 2023, the CDC vouchers were released and it became a 50-50 split of only 50% for food and 50% for groceries. So some people welcome this and some don't, because everybody's needs is very different.
Drinks for different needs.
So a family would prefer using the vouchers for groceries, while singles or couples will prefer using the vouchers for meals outside. So this could be a potential problem when CBDCs come out, because it could limit you to how much money you could spend at a certain outlet or maybe even a certain industry, and that is something that not many people will appreciate. So lastly is the safety and stability of financial systems. So since these currencies are digital and the exchange of funds is almost instant, the financial system could be compromised during the conversion process when you are converting from one form of money to CBDCs. And when that happens, it can lead to bank runs, which has happened with banks like SVB and Silvergate Bank. So now you must be wondering, what's the future of money then? And what will our future financial system look like in the coming years? So I personally feel that CBDCs will not take or replace real cash, but they will coexist side by side as a complement to physical cash. So this will allow more payment methods and reduce the friction when it comes to cross-border payments for businesses, or maybe if you're traveling, it might reduce your forex rates and you can even spend your own local currency. So this brings us to the end of today's video. Do let me know what you think about CBDCs. Do you welcome them, or do you think it's just another way for the government to control the way we spend our money? But at the end of the day, don't forget to drop a like if you haven't, subscribe and turn on the notifications. And as always, stay safe, invest safe, and I'll see you in the next one.